to his 30 local government councils since March 2025. And in the originating summons filed on Monday, the State through his Attorney General and the legal team led by Michael Nworie SAN and Ms. Bawade to be SAN, they are asking the Apex Court to compel the federal government to release all 6 funds and to stop what they describe as an unconstitutional and arbitrary seizure of local government revenues. Because of time, we get talking now, and we have the Senior Special Assistant on Legal Matters to Governor Adeleke virtually on the program this morning is Mr. Michael Nworie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Nigerians, I'm so sure Osun residents and indigents would like to know why has Osun State taken this step at this time? Because I remember many persons have been calling for this step to be taken far, from this time to say, do this. How come the Osun State is now taking this step at this time? And it looks like this is not a listening government. It's like you wanted it to be political in the first place. Now that is not working, you just have to approach the court, something you will have done as a proactive government in the past. Why now?
All right. If you follow the event very well, you will agree with me that this is not the first time the government has approached the Supreme Court on this issue. Some months back, the Osun State government filed this type of case at the Supreme Court, challenging the authority of the Office of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, directing the Accountant General of the Federation to withhold the allocation of local government areas in Osun State. That time, the Attorney General filed a counter affidavit stating that the federal government has not withheld the allocation to the local government areas in Osun State. So with that counter affidavit he filed on oath, the Osun State government decided to withdraw that suit. But recently, we stumbled into, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I hear you.
Yes. The Attorney General wrote a memo directing the Accountant General of the Federation to pay the local government allocation to the sacked APC chairman of the local government areas instead of the duly elected local government chairman of the PDP. So the Osun State government has tried severally to see that this issue was resolved without resorting to litigation, but seems the federal government remained adamant. And the only thing that could happen to compel the federal government to release this one is going back to the Supreme Court. For the Supreme Court to determine as to whether the Attorney General of the Federation has the powers to direct that the funds meant for the local government areas in Osun State be withheld without justification. The recent Court of Appeal judgment has vindicated the election held in Osun State into the local government areas. And there is no justification for continued withholding of the allocation. So that's the reason why the government, the second time, had decided to go to the Supreme Court. Let the court interpret the limit of the powers of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation. So that's where we are today, and that is why we are going back there now.
All right, Barrister Nworie. You have made your own submission, but in a statement released by the Director of Media and Information of the All Progressive Congress, as the APC, which is the leading opposition party in Osun State, they have accused the Governor Ademola Adeleke-led government in Osun State of being in a state of confusion and being messy, simply because a case was filed at the Supreme Court, which was withdrawn, and now you are filing the case again. According to the APC, it's still the same case. So they are claiming that your party is simply in a state of confusion, not knowing what to do. That otherwise, why should you file a case, withdraw it after 6 weeks, then go back to file the same case again? Now, what exactly is happening? They also accused the government of trying to bully opposition parties in the state. What do you say to that?
I'm afraid I think we have lost our connection.
Oh, yeah. All right. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, we'll wait to reconnect, and that's a very valid one because the APC is saying why dilly-dally?
Exactly. They said the suit was filed, it was withdrawn, and now you
went back to court,
again.
and they say it's the same case, and all of those things. But just like I asked earlier, many Nigerians, even Osun residents, have been saying, instead of this individual interpretation that has been given to this court, and you know, if you look like it depends on who is saying what. Depending on who is interpreting, oh, he's for us, he's against them, he's for us, he's against them. Although the latest organization or association to take a position is the NBA, in which they cited various court instances and said the duly elected chairman in charge of local governments is the PDP elected governors.
You mean the NBA chairman took a position on that?
They did a position on that, and they say it's a work of the ad hoc committee put up, and they listed all those cases from February, in fact, pre-February, pre-2025 till now, and they send their opinion that, and that's why they humbly, in their word, request that the AGF should go ahead and direct the necessary agency to pay up the money, because for them, yeah, I think he's back now, yeah.
All right, Barrister Nworie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now, please.
Okay, I don't know if you got my question just before we went on the break. Did you get my question?
No, I didn't get your question, please.
Okay, all right. I raised the statement released by the APC Director of Media and Information, claiming that the government of Governor Ademola Adeleke in Osun State at this point is being confused and messy simply because a case was filed at the Supreme Court, and after 6 weeks, it was withdrawn. Now you've taken the case back to the Supreme Court again, the same case. So they are claiming that the government is trying to bully opposition in the state by doing that, and also accusing the government of being in a state of confusion because of these back and forth decisions concerning the Supreme Court suing your government, rather. I beg your pardon, because of this back and forth in taking the case to the Supreme Court, withdrawing it and taking it back. So how do you react to that?
Now, if the APC person there are listening to me very well.
There is no APC person here. Hold on, Barrister Nworie. There is no APC person here. Yes, we are just journalists here.
Listening. Yeah.
Okay, the spokesperson to the APC would understand that when that case was withdrawn, the PDP gave a reason for withdrawing that case. When the Attorney General of the Federation has sworn to an affidavit denying the facts that he gave a directive withholding the allocation meant for the local government in Osun State. So at least he has given assurance that the local government allocation will be released. So that alone has taken care of the reason for filing the suit in the first place. So that was, again, the reason they was withdrawn. But when again, they still held onto their guns, you know, and even with a letter directing the Accountant General that the money should not be released to the government. That's the reason why we've decided, okay, let the Supreme Court interpret and decide as to whether the Attorney General has that authority to give that order he gave, and as to whether the federal government in its entirety has the power to withhold the allocation meant for the local government without any justification. At least Osun State is the only local government, it's the only state government where their local government allocation has been withheld for no reason at all.
But Barrister Nworie,
now the people, yes sir.
All right, just before you proceed, because you were asking if we had any APC member here. No, so I just wanted us, just to be clear on this, I was actually quoting the Director of Media and Information of the APC, that's Kola Olabisi, who released a statement yesterday on this, and part of it reads, I just want to quote him here so that you understand where we are coming from. According to him, he said, it is surprising that the government that has a duty to respect the rule of law is the one promoting mudslinging and blackmail to bully the opposition to silence over their lawful reinstatement into the councils, and the federal government and its ministers to act contrary to the law of the land. And one is surprised that the same government that quickly dismantled its earlier suit at the Supreme Court less than 6 weeks ago has rushed again to the same court over the same issues with no different facts. So those were the words of the APC Director of Media and Information.
Okay. Now, the Director of Media of APC said that the government is not respecting the rule of law. Now, the question is, which rule of law is he talking about? And who are those between the PDP government and APC in opposition that are trampling upon the rule of law? We have a judgment of the Federal High Court of Osun State that nullified the local government election, the yes or no local government election conducted by Withheld in 2022. That judgment between APP and APC is still subsisting and valid as we speak. We have a judgment of the Court of Appeal that in a way even has validated that judgment that was delivered in June 2025. That judgment is still valid and subsisting. Now, between the state government that tries to put effect to that judgment, into effect, and the federal government that has refused to obey that judgment into its validation, who among the two parties is not respecting the rule of law?
All right.
So it is the job of the federal government, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the security agencies to put into effect machineries to see that the local government in Osun State works and that the allocation meant for the local government is released for the administration of the local government. The local government has been on strike since February 2025, just because the APC decided to seize the local government.
All right, Barrister Nworie.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because of time, one clarification, two questions for me. Understand, because of the exigency of the situation where you are right now. You said the local government have been on strike. I'm not sure they're on strike. It's the NOLGE who told their members to sit at home.
The NOLGE, yes. Yes, I agree with you.
Security exigency of that time. And now there is no more. That situation is no more right now. Everything is calm and cool, yet NOLGE is at home. And that's why the APC and some watchers are saying the NOLGE has been politicized. They are supporting your party and the government, even when they have no reason to do so. Nobody is carrying guns all over the place again. For almost 6 months or thereabout, everywhere has been calm, yet NOLGE has been at home, not because of strike. Number two, question is this. The first question I asked, why has it taken Osun State government to go this route? Even though you sought political, possibly conclusion to this, by allowing it to say your government and that of your principal will support Asiwaju, that's President Tinubu in 2027 election, and it seems not to be working. That is why you just have to go through this route right now. And when we say, is it not too late at this time? If you can answer those two, their clarification about NOLGE being politicized by Osun State government. And number two, why is it taking you this long to go this route? And you are the one that you are not doing what is right. And you are the one that have not allowed the Osun people to have what belongs to them because of your political calculation.
And that is a blatant lie.
How so?
They know very well that the NOLGE decided to go on strike, like you said, because of their own security. When the APC talks invaded the local government, a lot of people were killed. Many others were injured. Those people that invaded the local government are still occupying the local government areas up till this moment. So how do you now say that there is no more problem? They are being aided by the Nigerian police. If you go to the local government, you see the dogs, some of them wielding machetes and guns at the local government headquarters. How do you expect the local government workers to resume work in that atmosphere? We
don't have that report.
And instead,
no report of
no, it is all over the place. You are a journalist and you can visit the local government headquarters and see for yourselves.
Okay.
You don't expect, if your brother is a staff of the local government, you don't advise him to resume in that atmosphere. Yes. So let them vacate the local government and let the duly elected local government officials resume. And you'll see the people that are working will also resume work.
Okay, so why
will they now politicize the situation? They are the one that created the imbroglio. Now they are politicizing it.
The first question,
and now alleging that the government of Osun State is the one that is politicizing the situation.
Okay, so why is it taking Osun State government 6 months before they now decide to do the right thing?
I didn't get you, sir.
Yeah, why is it that situation started in February? This is August 28. Today is 28.
Yes.
Why is it taking you 6 months to approach the Supreme Court? Because that has been the call of many well-meaning Nigerians to say, we don't need this interpretation. Approach the Supreme Court.
No. Remember that between that February till June, there was a court case at the Court of Appeal. We were at the Court of Appeal, and the last of the cases was that the judgment was delivered sometime 13th or so of June 2025. So after that time, the government, through the Office of the Attorney General, wrote to the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, the Accountant General of the Federation, Inspector General of Police, DSS, and the rest of them. We wrote them and attached copies of the judgment, asking them now to release the local government fund to the duly elected local government officials. Of course, we waited for them to abide by the rule of law. They did not. We wrote another follow-up letter. Up till now, the last time we went to the Supreme Court was because they ignored that letters. And when we went to the Supreme Court, the Attorney General of the Federation now filed a counter affidavit stating that the federal government was not withholding the local government funds, and that the funds were meant to be released to the local government. And because of that, we withdrew the suit we filed. And when we waited, nothing was going on. In fact, we even stumbled on a letter written to the Accountant General directing him not to release the fund. That's the reason why we've decided, okay, this is the game plan. We decided to go to the Supreme Court.
All right, you made that point earlier on. Barrister Nworie, just before, we are due for a break, but just before we go on this break to let another guest come in, I'd like to ask you, Barrister Nworie, categorically, and I want you to answer this. Are you saying that initial case was not withdrawn from the Supreme Court simply because of your own political calculations, the anticipation of Governor Ademola Adeleke defecting to the APC? Because if he had defected, of course, you would have wanted the funds to be released to the APC local council chairman. Are you saying categorically that you did not withdraw that case as a result of that political calculation?
No, not at all. Categorically speaking, not at all. Being a member of APC doesn't mean you cannot challenge the federal government. Even there are several state governments of APC that have filed a case at the Supreme Court against the federal government. So this is a government to government. It is not a political party affair. This is state government against federal government. When the Lagos state government sued the federal government, the state government that's controlled by APC sued the Buhari-led federal government that is also controlled by APC, challenging some decisions. It was not on because of political party. It was purely merit-based governance.
Barrister Nworie, that is not the point of my question. My point is this. It was anticipated at some point that Governor Ademola Adeleke would defect to the APC. The question is, if he had defected to the APC, would you still be fighting for the PDP local council chairman to get the funds?
If we had the APC and the needful was done, there will be no defect. But if they continue even at the federal government, continue to withhold the local government fund, still have that happen. Who would have still gone to the Supreme Court to compel them? Because filing a case at the court is not just for you to get some relief, but also to enrich the law of the land. Are you getting me? There are a lot of things that many people may think that is not possible, but when you file a case and get some sections of the law interpreted by the courts, you will have greater clarity. There are other states that may be, wallowing into abject ignorance. But when the Supreme Court or any other court comes clear on the particular issue, they will say, okay, they will get a clear vision on how things have to be done. So it's not about defecting to APC or not defecting to APC. If we had been in APC and the federal government decided to trample the law on its head, that's still
All right, Barrister Nworie, we are due for a break now. When we return, we will continue with the conversation. Well, I understand you have to leave us. Thank you so much, Barrister Nworie, for joining us on the conversation this morning. All right, we're going to a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue with the conversation. We have a public affairs analyst, joining us to x-ray this matter, looking at it from another angle, from the people's angle. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. You're still on to Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. And this morning we've been talking about Osun State, the local government imbroglio. Talking about the funds, the arguments on who is supposed to get the local government funds. And we just spoke with the senior special assistant to the governor of Osun State, Governor Ademola Adeleke, on legal matters, Barrister Michael Nworie, just a while ago. Now join us on the conversation. We have a public affairs analyst to consider this issue from the people's angle. We have Comrade Lanre Fadahunsi. Thank you, Comrade Fadahunsi, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here with you.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure having you join us. Comrade, just before we went on a break, we were having a conversation with the Barrister Michael Nworie, right there, the senior special advisor to the governor on legal matters concerning this case. The Osun State government had taken the Supreme Court, taken a case to the Supreme Court concerning the local government funds that have been withheld. Then that case was withdrawn. Now they've taken the case back to the Supreme Court, and the APC, the major opposition party, the leading opposition party in Osun State, is presently accusing the Osun State government of being in a state of confusion as a result of the back and forth decision concerning the court's judgment. And I was asking him, the SSC to the governor on legal matters, the last question I asked him was that, was it not a political move for them to have withdrawn the case initially in anticipation of the governor's defection to the APC? And he said, that's not so. In your own opinion, as an Osun resident, what do you make of this whole situation, this whole saga that has been playing out for the past over 6 months now in Osun State?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I would like to start on the premise of what I've repeatedly been saying, that the bench and the bar should rescue Nigeria's democracy, and they should see it beyond party affiliations or about historic developments happening in Nigeria today, as far as the justice system is concerned. A lot of Kulabalu followed the book of Dele Farutim himself, a trained lawyer, about the criminal justice system in Nigeria, among other things. Now, back to the recent NBA conference, where the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammadu Abubakar Sahad, a former military leader, a trained military officer that became a monarch, said the justice system is looking like a purchasable commodity in Nigeria. That's an indictment. And so, looking at all of this premise, and the back and forth with Osun issue, goes to tell you it goes beyond the ordinary. It's looking like the law is going to be placed aside, and then other people will start interpreting what they want based on emotions and sentiments and their own links. And I'm happy you spoke to somebody from the side of the government that said, hey, there was a time. And so those are some of the things I would love my friend also to address. I'm talking about Chief Kola Olabisi, a very good friend of mine, that, hey, there was a time that the state government went to the Supreme Court and there was an affidavit sworn to by the Office of the Attorney General. I want them to now say that's a lie. And after that affidavit said there was no intention or moves to make sure that monies for local governments were not sent to Osun. If indeed that was why they removed the case,
to withdraw.
They withdraw the case from the
Supreme Court.
I think it looks plausible. An argument.
Yeah, on the grounds of the affidavit.
Affidavit that somebody of that stature swore to, and then said they did not even take such action. And later, when such actions were now being imputed into the system, after some other judgments, including that of the appeal court, that was said to be ambiguous initially, was now laid to rest, the interpretation of that last judgment would have still been expected to come from the judicial end of the justice system, from the Attorney General's office. That's why people are now saying, look, separate these two offices. Do you understand? Because ordinarily somebody, if you have an issue in Osun State today, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution will give judicial legal angles to issues by way of recommendation before the government will decide, okay, we have heard your advice to either take or not. That means some people are meant to give professional interpretations of court judgments and all to whoever is in government, whether you like that position or not. It would have been documented and written. So, but for somebody who is both politically inclined, acting in the capacity of now making judgment, people are thinking sentiments would always go into it, is why they are saying they should separate the two offices. And that has now been the problem. However, I'm the street person here. I worked in that system for decades. I worked under the military. I worked under civilian administration. Under APC, I worked under civilian administration. Under PDP. So I've worked with all of them. I have worked with APC when the most senior local government official was meant to hold forth before selection of their party members as caretaker members. The judgment that brought Aregbesola to government in Osun saw the emergence, the removal of those local government chairmen that were elected and replacement by people from the party that were picked. I was in Ifelodun local government, and then the chairman then was Lawa, that was brought by APC, not by election. However, thereafter there were times that civil servants were made to sit and take responsibility. But the major part is, what are the laws guiding local government administration? To go over the 1976 reforms, go over 1989 and 1999 constitution that established it. The law still places the administration of local government under the purview of the state. That law has not changed. The state dictates the laws that guides administration of their financial activities. The money goes into local government accounts. Simplicity. That's the fact. It doesn't come to the state. However, the state will say, local government chairman, you have an approving limit of, it was 500,000, later it became 1 million, later it became 2 million naira, that you can approve by yourself. Anything beyond that, you must go to your council. Those are the councillors that can approve up to 5 million naira. Now, going beyond 5 million, the council in whole, the chairman, the councillors, the everything, must go to the State House of Assembly with that proposal. That's the law guiding them. And then they will now say, okay, you want to construct roads, you have brought a proposal of 42 million to the State Assembly and the government. That 42 million, we found it through the engineers of state with oversight functions on activities of the engineers of the local government to say this 42 million is much for that kilometer of road. It should stay within the limit of 38 million. Do you understand? Yeah. That is when they can now come back to the local government and execute based on an approval. No law has removed that from the functions of what the state is to do as oversight.
So the state always have, by these laws, by the
Constitution of 1999, yes,
in the running of local government.
Exactly.
Right. So there's the place of financial autonomy.
Fine.
Actually,
that was
given that landmark Supreme Court judgment.
Beautiful.
And many persons think that is why all eyes should be on the local government right now, exactly, because that means they will be having more money, especially with the removal of subsidy, and at the federal level and all of those things. But some will say, no matter the Supreme Court judgment didn't give 100%, to how local government are able to source for the fund directly from Abuja. And they may have the leeway of how to spend it, but the issue of the state houses of assembly still being an integral part of how the money is gotten. And in fact, there is a joint account that the money will be paid into, because I stand to be corrected. When the autonomy was given, was it explicitly directed that the local government will have an absolute account, that exclusive account that they will send to the federal government, and the federal or the joint account, the FAC, that they will now get their money directly from it? That is still confusing many persons, because there is no way local government can have their money directly. There is a joint account that this money is still being paid.
Now that's being cleared by the Supreme Court decision of financial autonomy. And that was the style. Federation account funds comes to local government accounts directly.
Okay.
During the Yomiyola administration and the rest before him, it comes directly to the local government accounts. Now, when the money gets there, beyond the payment of your recurrent, which is salaries and all, your approvals must come from the state government. For expenditure.
Which means the state was a signature, has always been a signature.
No, this says was not a signature. I'll now tell you where the problem came. Now, in 1993, around that time, there was this issue of zero allocation. Urban centers, everybody wanted to be working in urban centers. Political calculations, your wage and your allocation comes based on school enrollment, based on population. You understand all those facts. And so when you now have a good, big, huge school enrollment in your own local government, it will bring more money to the purse of local governments in the state. However, when your own share is coming, your wages, the teacher's salary, because primary school teachers are supposed to pay by local government. Primary health care workers are supposed to be paid by the local government. And so the wage bill, because of the urban centers, now rose high. And the urban local governments were recording zero when it comes to payment of salaries. And as such, that was what brought about the joint account allocation, whereby it stipulates that the pooled funds, they should first of all remove the overall recurrent expenditure, that is the payment of salaries across board. So if 30 local governments, 2 billion came to Osun as funds for local governments, of that 2 billion, if 500 million in all is what staff salaries across primary school teachers and all the local governments, local government workers in all the local governments, their salaries from these 2 billion is 500 million. Remove that first and ensure every local government gets the salaries first. That is when you now start talking about what is the school enrollment population to redistribute the remaining to the local governments. Not that the state was supposed to help them spend. But over time, it became an anathema because that did not happen. You will recall that throughout the 7 years plus of Oyinlola administration, we did not have this kind of crisis because the system, but the government unusual came Ademola administration. And it was still the same administration that did what no other states in Nigeria did. The so-called parliamentary election in local government under a presidential system. That I said you can only contest to be councillors. And some people went to court, and the court cases are there. I remember Comrade Ademola is the member of the State Assembly now, went to court and said, I want to contest to be a local government chairman, not a councillor. Do you understand? That is the position of the law under the presidential system.
Absolutely.
He won that case. There was no appeal to it, but then they still ran the parliamentary thing, election in local government, which was an aberration. It has never happened before. But of course, because of the position of the law, as regards the relationship of the state government to local government, and the position of the state houses of assembly to local government by constitutional recognition, they practiced parliamentary in Osun alone in the whole of Nigeria, and nobody could question it because the state was supposed to have oversight over and above local government.
All right,
in administration.
Yeah, because of time, let us now look at how politics has affected governance in Osun State at this time. A lot of politics is playing out, no doubt about that. Look at the PDP, for instance. The PDP is no longer as strong as it used to be. We still talked about that earlier this week, how the PDP has taken 4 lawmakers, federal lawmakers, to court for dumping the PDP for defecting to the APC. So how do you see this whole politics affecting good governance in the state? Because it is the people who are bearing the brunt of these decisions here and there. Politicians defecting from one party to another, they have a court case, asking the courts, to ask them to refund all their salaries and remunerations so far, that they had no justification to leave the party. And now they're talking, election is next year, August, less than a year from now. So how is politics? Yesterday, we just talked about Osun State just celebrated 34 years, 34th anniversary of the creation of Osun State. So far, how do you rate Osun currently in terms of politics and how it is affecting good governance as far as the people are concerned?
I'm so happy to be here today. You know why? It's a statement of fact, and anybody can double check me on it. In the whole of Nigeria, I was the only person that insisted and addressed the committee that brought up the local government service reform. The committee was set up in Abuja. They said people should send documents. I insisted with my colleagues, we are not sending documents. We will appear physically before that panel. And I was the only one that addressed the panel. That look, Osun State is different in a number of ways. We have seriously well-educated officials to PhD holders working in that system. And you now say, oh, the law says an admin officer should be overall, but says it's not right. There are medical doctors who are on level 16 in the primary health care, and you now say you should be responsible to a level 12 admin officer. Do you get? So the first thing that brought about the issue of head of local government administration was as a result of that position I presented to that committee, and it was accepted for the whole of Nigeria. So when you talk about Osun State local government system, it's unique, it's different because of the caliber of people who work in that system. And lo and behold, that is a system where that law makes it abundantly clear for the financial management in the local government system, signatories to local government accounts are civil servants. So if you want to return even funds to the local government, the people that are within the law allowed to send representation to any agency of government on accounts of local government should be the civil servants.
Not the politicians.
Not the politicians. And the civil servants will relate only with the Local Government Service Commission, that is the employer of senior officers. Do you get so what are we interpreting? I don't see the office of the Attorney General of the Federation sending money to any local government chairman. You will only send it to information received from the Local Government Service Commission, sent to the Ministry of Local Government, and by extension to the CBN or wherever.
Yeah, but we had a case where even the Argonne chairman of the PDP claimed that they had, rumors, they had news that the AGF had directed them to release the funds to the accounts of the local governments. Because they now had to go to the CBN. So which means there were plans for the CBN to actually release the funds. So that's a point. That's a question.
So who will be signatories? I'm telling you, chairman of a local government cannot sign any check.
It was said to provide account details as well.
Account details must be, the signatories must be civil servants. And want this, and now want these civil servants to come when there are cordials and guns around. They will not. I will tell you a practical example.
And the same civil servants are at home right now.
They have to be, because it's a risk, and that risk will look unnecessary if we don't have a casualty recorded. Somebody was killed on this matter by government.
People.
Government, they didn't use hand. It was gone. But
I mean, people are
saying more than one person.
I know. I'm just saying categorically the established fact of one former local government chairman was gone down. Right. And with that fact, do you now expect them to come? Even those who are on the side of the said APC people, the civil servants that might be on that side, if they are the ones that they wanted to use, do you get? what are you going to say? Are they also safe if the other side too attack them? So as a body of workers, I was a leader of the Norge in Osun. As body of workers, you cannot risk the life of your workers because they are very important to the whole, they are important and germane to the settlement of this crisis. You want to now pick me as signatory for an account and I'm not the most senior financial officer?
So, comrade, how is this affecting good governance in this state? Because it's all about politics now, and the people are suffering for
absolutely, it is affecting the governance of the state. And I have made this position known that the APC itself they call them council officer or acting chairman, civil servant, the most senior in every local government, to hold forth, pending, dependence of the said cases, whether on APC side or PDP, you understand, so that the funds for 5% to the traditional council will go there. All of this within the ambit of the law. The law has stipulated payment of salaries must be done. Yes, they will oversee that. You can't change that. You can't increase it. You just pay those ones. Public Works Department, PWD, they used to, in the 70s.
Yes.
Those were the people doing the major things. Yeah. I observed, I was driving from Ede through Osun, very nice road now, and short to my end. Do you get? And I realized, wow, this is it. The road verges are taking over the new road. Whereas local governments, part of the purview of the works department to clear the verges to prevent accidents and carnage on the road. That has not been happening. When it comes to health issues, the waste and all the waste management is only the state that is doing that now. And they cannot do it well because of number. The primary health care department, the environmental health officers are the ones meant to do it. And the local government will have to provide the compactors or trucks to do that, and it requires funding. And so the people's wastes are on the road until the state can go to all the local governments. You see those things causing a lot of damage to the health of the people. So why do we now have to, yes, why must we now sacrifice? So what I'm saying is, all of them, both APC and PDP, have used civil, including the military, have used civil servants before. And even leave all of that. In Rivers State, there is a non-elected administration in the state, and it has put people in the local government. Hello, why not do that in the unusual situation? It's unusual because it is only in Osun that the state government is not given the constitutional rights over the local governments as we speak.
All right. So you are saying, sorry, Femi, just to call. So you are saying the state should have the right to appoint people to oversee
until the whole pendants of the case in the several courts. Life must go on as it should in the local government. Hence, the most senior officers in every local government, they are not politicians. So you can't say this one is APC, this one is PDP. All right. Even if they have that leaning, you cannot say that as part of what they carry as a toga. They are on that position by reason of their capacity, by reason of their credibility as officers, and by reason of their certification. So if you want to now bring somebody on level 8 to supersede somebody on level 17, where do we add it up? Obviously. Somebody as a chartered accountant is the accounting officer. No.
Has, disrupted everything. And, you talked about the health, the public work, the environment.
As you know, local government is directly in charge of primary schools.
Yeah.
So the lives of those in the primary school system is on hold.
All right. Now, but we're on the home stretch right now. And the NBA, this back and forth, this is where we are right now. Last week, the NBA took a position on the matter and said they have looked into it. And it's not just an individual opinion. It was a work of an ad hoc committee that was set up to look into everything. And in fact, information reaching us said they didn't even pick any lawyer from the Southwest at all to be part of that thing, maybe because of political affiliation and all of those things. And they came up with a position to say the February 22nd produced chairman are the duly elected chairman. And all the laws from the November 2022 election, all of those things still now. And the appeal, they took a national position and the appeal to say, for good governance, for constitution, for the sake of doing things right, the appeal to the AGF to go ahead and do the needful. And the last paragraph on that letter said, if status quo remain, then they might activate their own, department to seek redress at the court as well. So it means the body of the bar believes the case of Osun State is a just one, so to say, not just because of Osun State, they say because of history, because they can't be there and everything is going on well at this. But the AGF, seems not to be budging on this matter. At the current, the MBA conference of 2025 is going on right now, and many of these issues will come up. I'd like to ask you, because of history, what will you say? Because for many persons at the position of powers, either for or against, history is being made, as we are saying it right now. Either the MBA, either the Osun State governor, either the local government chairman themselves, yes or no, sit down or sit at home or whatever they call, and the MBA themselves. What will you say will be the implication of the MBA? I'm talking to the MBA position on this matter, that they have taken a position. Do you see it as being clear position? Has been a historic, or is just another, association just saying their own point of view?
It's not an association saying their point of view. It's an association basing its lean on the facts of law. So you cannot extricate that from the whole gamut of what we're talking about. However, the fact still remains that on both sides of the divide, learned silks are there, still interpreting their own laws. That's why those ones set up a body of lawyers to look at the facts on the table. And if you listen to Barrister Okorie, he made some allusions that I said, I'm expecting the other side to say, no, there was no affidavit sworn to by the Office of the Attorney General, and there were no issues of a letter written that nothing as regards non-payment of allocation to Osun State is concerned. Now, the facts beyond the ordinary, the facts to people on the street.
Yeah, we have like 30 seconds, sir.
What you cannot get by the ballot, we have seen it happen in Osun by the bullet, by negative experience which the people don't want to go through. Then, on this issue of local government, for the penance of these cases, they should allow life to continue in that system by appointing more senior officers so that workers can go back and those allegedly carrying guns and all. Because that time that I spoke of elections, ask people who live along Aliquod or in Ife North, in Ife South, they will tell you what they saw. That non-state actors took over, chasing the other party that won the first count away, and police and others were there watching.
All right, Comrade.
So all of that is known to Osun people, not caught. As reality of what you cannot get by the ballots, you want to use the back door to obtain it. Obtaining is like 419.
All right.
So it's not supposed to be allowed in
so far, so far, thankfully, just because you're not a politician, personally, I'm getting the most logical view on this whole situation because you're not taking sides with the APC or the PDP. No. And your submission now, your suggestion that the government should appoint the most senior officers to manage the councils for now. Why do you think the state government is not going that route? Why are they not pursuing it legally? It's not even the state government that is saying it. It's better that it is somebody who worked in that system for decades. I worked there for decades, over 2 decades. So I have rights of authority to speak on what has happened there, even before most of them were in politics. Do you understand? We work with the military. I'm happy the position that was made by a senior learned SEAL, Barrister Abayomi Aliyu, senior advocate of Nigeria, on this matter. He made a position. Yes, people believe he has his own lean on the other side, that is the opposition side in Osun. That aside, he was a local government service commission chairman in Osun under the military. And the records are there, what he did. Do you understand? His oversight on local government, even local government chairman will run when he talks. So why
has now removed? The powers from local government service commission?
So why is the state not doing that?
That's what I'm saying. The state is doing. They knows that, but you know, the state is politically inclined government that appointed the local government service commission now. But I'm telling you, when Barrister Yomi Aliu was chairman of the same Osun State Local Government Service Commission, whatever it tells you as a worker is what you will do. So chairman grapple and roll in front of him to get things done in their local governments.
I do understand. But do you think the state government at this point may need the support of a court just to, go that route?
The scene is they have gone to that court to say, well, somebody wrote an affidavit to you stating that he did not stop allocations to us. We are coming back now because it has happened. They have stopped it. And whatever cases, they said they attached cases of the appeal courts and the rest of it and all other judgments, saying that because in a democracy, I will tell you now what the Osun State people know in a few seconds. One, that the APC government, I think it was under Ademola, appointed Otumba Segun Oladiton as chairman of OSEC. Otumba Segun Oladiton as OSEC chairman presented a budget to the government of His Excellency Oyetola to run local government elections. At that point, all local governments would have been won by the APC. But they said the money was too much. It was in public. I read it in newspapers. So if you had 300 days to organize a local government election, and then the person that was to supervise it, appointed by you, said, let's do it. You have to recall him from America to come and now do yes or no in a democracy. Hey, even if you can't be a judge and jury.
Comrade, we have to go. This history class 201 we will continue today. And it's very important that we speak truth to power. Public affairs analyst. I was almost saying barrister, but it's Comrade Lanre Fadahunsi. Maybe it's in the works, you never know. We'll never stop learning.
No, we can't.
All right, thank you very much.
This matter. In Nigeria,
thank you. Yeah, that's it. We should go. Barrister Daniel.
I'm not a barrister yet. All right, thank you so much, Comrade Fadahunsi. Like I said, this is the most revealing and most interesting part of the conversation for me, coming from someone who's not, a politician. I mean, very insightful conversation. Thank you so much, Comrade Lanre Fadahunsi. And of course, to you, our distinguished viewers, thank you for joining us once again. Join us again tomorrow for a fresh edition of Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Emeka Daniel is my name. Do have a fantastic day.
And of course, I'm Femi Ojo, and we're talking about law, constitutionality, history, and doing things rightly. At the ongoing NBA conference, a big thought, was put up yesterday by former minister and a leader, Obi Ezekwesili. We allow you to take a look at some part of that. You will love it. God bless Nigeria.
That a distorted incentive society is making it impossible for them to actually have a quality of life that is close enough to just being normal. And therefore, I am praying that as a legal profession, you can agree that there is serious discussions that are making it difficult for incentives to align in the direction where hard work is rewarded. This country has to go back to rewarding hard work. This idea that politics is the pathway to becoming wealthy is an anomaly. Any profession that is rewarding this kind of pre-Bengalist behavior cannot be a profession that cares about tomorrow. But I do know that I know some of you, and you're some of the best minds that we have in this society. So, stop trading this profession. Stop giving this profession over to a bunch of lousy politicians that wants to destroy generations here and unborn. Don't invite me again. Even if you invite me, I may not come again. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the final, just hold on.
hold on. The best